Welcome to RPG Book Club. On today's episode, a lot happens, really. I can't really sum it up. It's just a lot. Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little chunk of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I am Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I am Michael Spiffle Webben.
And today we'll be playing Rogue Galaxy all the way to the end of Chapter 10, the Illusory Oasis. And I should be more specific, and we will watch Chapter 9 and watch Chapter 10, the Illusory Oasis.
And play a little bit of a video game in the middle.
With a slight intermission of walking down. Okay, I should save this for later. I'm jumping in right now because we're talking about it already. So this first dungeon we go into is called a labyrinth and is a hallway. The towers we were in were a labyrinth. Like, that was their shtick. Like, it was a maze that you could lose. Like, it had the ability to suck in the last one. This one, called the labyrinth, is hallways that aren't actually hallways. They're interconnected rooms that only have one entrance and exit. We call those hallways usually.
They're very twisty and turny, but
you can't ever get lost.
It sure ain't a labyrinth. Like, the hardest rooms are the ones that have multiple levels, but even those have one exit.
Yeah, and so I got to one point in that dungeon, and I'm like, oh hey, on my map I can tell that this room has two exits. So I take one and I walk my way around, and then I get to another room that has another exit. So I see which one is going towards the waypoint. So I take the other one, and that loops back to that other one where I took the thing. So the one time it has a branching path, it's still a hallway, and you can't get lost. But anywho, how was everybody's week?
I'm doing pretty well.
How about that Nintendo thing yesterday, guys?
Man.
Oh my gosh.
I'm excited about that. I wish we would have gotten a tease at least about Pokemon 2019, but I'm pretty satisfied with it because Smash Brothers and Mario Party.
So
look awesome.
Here's my secret thoughts and feelings. So making a game engine from scratch is hard and takes a really long time. I feel they had the bare bones of the engine made and were like, we said 2018, but we can't deliver on our 2018 promise. What if we just make another goddamn Gen 1 game and we pull in stuff from Pokemon Go and then make the Let's Go games? And so I feel the stuff that we're getting from Pokemon 8 is there inside of Let's Go. So every time I was watching it, I was like, oh, that's cool. That's how it's going to be in the new one. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. I definitely see this as a trial run.
Yeah, and so it definitely feels like every time I was watching it, I was like, oh, this game's like it'll actually be fun, and I can play it with Scarlet, and you don't drop in like another person with another 6 Pokemon. It's just like another hand on the controller to play your Pokemon. I'm like, so she won't fuck up my stuff. That's perfect. Like, I don't have to I don't have to like maintain 2 teams. She can just jump in and throw a Pokeball and it'll be fine.
I'm totally getting that Pokeball Joy-Con too.
Oh yeah, I probably will.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, it's like the whole time I was watching, I was like, okay,
can we buy everything?
So here's the thing about Pokemon. I know that it was created for the sole purpose of selling toys. You know, their catchphrases, gotta catch them all. Like, you're being manipulated into buying everything that you can. I don't care.
You're like, I'm buying everything. Correct.
I started playing Pokemon the year that it came out in the US in 1998, and I became addicted immediately, and I still fucking love this shit 21 years later. So, or I guess it's been 20 years.
For me, it's a little funnier. You want to know a fun fact? I have not finished a Pokemon game, and by that I just mean like beaten the Elite Four or whatever the heck at the end.
Oh, really?
I have not beaten a Pokemon game since Heart Gold.
Wow.
And the thing is, I love these games, but I just don't love playing them. It's like I feel like there's a couple of just weird, they just have some weird boneheaded design decisions. Like, me and my friend Bernard, we always joke like, man, Pokemon is so great. Imagine how good it would be if Game Freak were good game designers, which is snippy. And of course they're making. Of course they're really snippy. I don't actually mean to throw shade on them. They're obviously when you have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Pokemon and a zillion different moves and 18 types. Like yes, it's very hard to balance and make it all work, and they do probably a stand-up job. But there are just enough weird, janky, boneheaded decisions where it's like every Pokemon game I buy, and I really love the first 10 hours or so, and then I don't play anymore. I can do that with the next one.
Yeah, I really wish that you could give another college try for Black and White, because Black and White was the first time they started to like mess with what does it mean to be a Pokemon game, and your fight through the Elite Four is interrupted by the final fight of the plot, and it's super cool.
Yeah. Black and White came out during a time when I didn't have a portable game console because my Heart Gold Soul Silver DSi, Baby Blue DSi got stolen, and I was still in mourning about it. So anyway, that's why I never got around to Black and White.
But yeah, and then Black and White 2 is like the coolest like idea that they've done is they were like, what if we actually made a sequel without going into a new generation, but like we could just do it like 3 years later, and like the way it ties back to everything was like really, really well done. Like Gen 5 is probably the strongest gen of traditional Pokemon. And then Sun and Moon is probably the strongest gen overall because they were just like they're like speaking of our off mic Star Wars discussion, they were just like let the past die, kill it if you have
to. To make this at least a little bit relevant to Rogue Galaxy, one thing I like about one thing I like about Sun and Moon is that it and the modern day Pokemon games, it's both a blessing and a curse. The blessing is that it's so light and fun, and the plot is like low stakes, and the gameplay is breezy. That makes it so enjoyable to play and just nice and sweet, and it makes you happy. It also does not make it the most compelling, which is to say, whenever you are not playing, in my opinion at least, it doesn't get that little worm in your brain that's like, I need to be playing Pokemon right now.
Yeah, if I don't beat a Pokemon game in a week, I beat it in like 2 years. Like I just was talking about Black and White 2. I haven't beaten Black and White 2.
I haven't either. Yeah.
But that's the opposite of like Rogue Galaxy is the opposite, right? So like Rogue Galaxy, the Pokemon Sun and Moon version, that's just easy to fall into and play, but also not super compelling to stick with. That's like what Xenoblade is. Xenoblade Chronicles 1. Whereas Rogue Galaxy is like, no, you're going to want to play this game, but you're also it's not going to be like a low-key, low-stress environment when you're playing it.
Yeah.
So that brings me to a question that I was going to ask at the end. I'll ask it now. Do you think we'll be able to stop ourselves and not play the final chapter, or should we do 3 chapters next week?
Oh, I can guarantee I will be perfectly fine stopping.
Yeah, me too. I'm actually a tiny bit behind. As I told you guys, I didn't 100% finish Chapter 10, although it's probably like an hour, so that's not really that much catching up to do.
Chapter 10 was really short. It took us like an hour and a half to record.
Yeah, and that's with all of the cutscenes intact. Since you've already watched them, you can skip that and be done.
I probably had like half an hour of gameplay left. And then I can see the cutscenes, But anyway, I honestly, as much as I am looking forward to the final chapter, I also absolutely would and have no problem with waiting.
Yeah, no, not at all. Sam can't wait.
I'll probably Sam beat it and try and like ask leading questions on like, ooh, what do you think's going to happen in this last chapter?
Just pretend like you didn't play past chapter 12.
But
that's fine.
With this game, like a lot of times, Final Fantasy 15 had this problem where there was an entire chapter of Final Fantasy 15 that was walk from the inn in this town to the inn in this other town, and that's a chapter. And I'm like, well, like chapters kind of have like a beginning, a middle, and end, and this had none of those 3. But whatever, this game does that sometimes, and so I have a feeling like chapter 13 is just the final boss fight. But I'm not certain.
Maybe.
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see how that works out. But okay. Let's actually talk about these chapters instead of jumping to the end 40 times like we've done. So, after collecting the key pieces, the crew moored the Dorgan Ark in safe space and reported to Captain Dorgan Goa.
Oh, you say pirates, you need a safe space.
Yeah.
And I was like, lol.
Also, last week I was talking about Final Fantasy IX and their fade to black and then tell the story in a key card. That's literally what they did right there. Like, I just read it from my screenshot of, like, not even like the story thing at the beginning. This is just them coming up like, oh hey, by the way, here's all the key pieces. The end. Get on your boat.
Yeah.
Next scene, please.
Yeah.
And it was cool. But so we're all celebrating, and we're like, man, we're the best. Fuck Volcog, all that shit. And then Simon breaks in and it's like, oh hey, someone immediately stole the key pieces from us.
All the Funko Pops are gone. They were rare. We've been collecting them.
Yeah. Also, I just noticed in my screenshot right here that Dorgangoa keeps his meat like on his chair. It's like always nearby for him to be able to grab his meat and eat. That's gross.
Him
He's a
and
gross
his chair
man.
and his meat is probably like all one bottle. Freaking Baron Harkonnen looking ass.
Yeah. So sorry, I lost my spot. So the FaceTime machine turns on, and Zagran comes on and is like, oh, hey, by the way, I'm evil, so I took the key pieces.
Yeah, we didn't see that coming.
And we're just like, dang, you've only been saying you're evil since literally chapter 2 of this whole game.
Yeah.
And so Jaster's like, but we're not by any planets or anything, so he's probably gone for the lifeboats, so he runs to the deck. And then on the deck, sure enough, there's Zegrom, like not even to the lifeboats yet. He's just kind of like chilling over by them. And Jaster's like, we gonna fight. And he's like, okay. And so we have a one-on-one fight with Zegrom, which is one of several one-on-one fights we get to do this week. How did you guys like it? Your fight with Zegrom?
I'm pretty sure we tore into Zegrom really easily.
Did not tear into him.
I did not tear into Zegrom.
I did get on my first try, but I certainly didn't wreck him. It took me some effort. I liked it. It was a lot like the last one-on-one fight we had with Doggo, except it was just a lot less hard.
Yeah.
And I think I can't remember this. So these two chapters also had a ton of unique music. I think this one might have had unique music. I didn't comment on it, but if it did, you can rest assured that it owned.
Yeah, and if it did, I'll put it in, and if it didn't, we'll just sound stupid. But
Ken is really, really good at this game. So as far as I can recall, he did really, really well with it.
Yeah,
I don't think I had to look up any strats or anything.
I didn't like struggle with it, but it was like, all right, let's put on my illusion sword. Like, it was hard with Doggo because I didn't have any good moves, but now I have my good moves, and it still took like a good bit to get him down, and I still had to like interact with his mechanics, which was cool.
Yeah, it did take a little while, but
also, if I'm not mistaken, this boss does begin a common trope in this chapter, which is continuing this game's favorite trick of the fake out life meter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's like, the real one you have to do is about 1 inch long, but here's a 10-inch meter.
Because basically, anytime you're fighting a boss and you hit him and it does like absolutely no damage to that meter, you're like, okay, this is a fake life meter. I admire their commitment, because it's like, I actually, a while back when I was in college, me and some friends we were working on a JRPG style game, and it got put on the back burner because it's really hard. But we do intend to get around to it one of these days. And one of our goals, we weren't trying to be like, oh, we're going to subvert JRPGs because they're so stupid. It's just like, no, we love these games, but maybe there's a few things they could do better, right? Mm-hmm. So one thing we did where we're like, if the boss's health gets to 0, they are dead. Right then. And not even you go to a cutscene and they talk and then they die. If the health hits 0, they're dead. So we were going to have a lot of fake outs. Like, once you get their health down to like 10%, it goes into a cutscene. And the funny thing is, I thought that was a really brilliant idea. This is the only other game I've really seen to do that, because that's the only time it does. It only does fake out health meters when the person doesn't die at the end of the battle. And it's cool that they thought of that. No one else has thought of that.
Yeah.
So it reminds me, since you talked about that, I wanted to bring this up, and I don't want to be a jerk about it.
Go ahead.
But we have a lot to talk about, so let's try to avoid tangents as much as possible. I know that's going to be hard for us, but let's try and barrel through this, because there were a fuck ton of cutscenes.
Yeah, I wanted to be able to give some time to Zegrom, because, like I said, it's been something we've been doing for a while.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So we'll probably hang on Zegrom, speed through a bunch of shit. Hang on, Johanna. Speed through a bunch of shit. Be done.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
So then Zegrom gets away, and we follow him to Rosa, and he meets up with Datron, and he's like, "Oh, I've been good and evil for you." And they're like, "Okay, yeah, take your payment." And he's like, "I don't care about the money. What about like my girlfriend, wifey thing?" They're like, "Oh, well, we're bringing her back to life. We promise." He's like, "Remember when y'all threw me in jail and I got to see that was bullshit? Y'all are bullshit, aren't you?" And they're like, "No, we're totally not. And he's like, "You are." And they're like, "Okay, well." If you know, why did you come here? It's like, because I wanted to kill you myself. And so then you get a fight as Zegrom in a one-on-one fight with Seed, our second one, which is another fake out because, like, right after a second, Kisala and Jaster jump down and join in the fight. And so then this fight was unique because if you don't interact with the mechanics, as in running around and doing stuff like that, you won't notice that it's not a real boss fight. So I had Seed cornered in the corner, and like he was stuck at 1 HP because he's not killable in this fight. And I was sitting there, I was like, why won't he die? And then I just happened to like switch to another character or something. I don't even remember why, but I was close enough to a pedestal to be like, go and put the Funko Pop in. I'm like, oh, I didn't even have to like fight him. I just had to go and do this. It was a completely fake fight. But
did you mention Seed's mask yet?
No. Oh, yeah. No, I skipped it. Yeah, I scrolled down too far. So before you fight Seed as Zegrom, Seed comes out and he's like, "Can I remove my mask now?" And they're like, "Yeah, we finally finished your face." And it's Jaster, but with like silver Pauly D hair.
He looks way cooler. He looks way cooler than Jaster.
Yeah, I got two things to say real quick. One, I'm so sorry. Who's Pauly D?
He is one of the kids from Jersey Shore, and he is a tool, but he has that hair.
I'm just like, I have to understand this reference because he seems so proud of it. And my second thing is, as soon as I saw him, all I could think of was Squidward going, "Oh no, he's hot."
I was thinking it was like Vash the Stampede hair.
Yeah, totally.
That's another good one.
One more thing, because this actually is important. He actually looked extremely like the main character of the game, Phantom Dust, which is funny because Phantom Dust becomes relevant again later in this chapter, and I'm going to harp on it because everyone needs to play that game. That's it. I'm done.
Okay.
I've literally never heard of it.
I've never even heard of it at all.
It's incredible. Okay.
So then you fight with Zegrom, then you fight with everybody, then you put your Funko Pops on the thing. When you put the key pieces on their pedestal, a giant Rubik's Cube comes out of the tablet. And Seed is like, "This is what I've made for. This is my destiny." And he goes over to try and solve it in like this cool like Minority Report style moving shit type thing. And so then Science Man is like, the writing on the tablet was like a genetic code, so we made a human with those genes because why the fuck not? We're crazy science Batman.
I love how it's like, this is the thing I was literally born for, solving a hard puzzle. I'm like, he's a nerd.
So then Seed can't do it for some reason, and Volcog's like, "Oh well, back to the drawing board," and just fucking leaves. And so Seed is sitting there just like bereft, like, this is what I was made for and I can't do it. Am I just a failure? And somehow that helps him turn into like Beast Ganon from Ocarina of Time.
I don't know, except with no skin.
It's
really weird and
body
kind of
gross. Beast Ganon.
It looks fucked up.
So you then fight him. I think you fight him as everybody, and then Jaster goes Super Saiyan, and then it's a 1-on-1. I don't know if it's a 1-on-1 from the beginning.
It's 3-on-1 at first, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you do 3-on-1, and he's super duper easy, and I'm like, okay, don't worry, I'm gonna win. And then it cuts to scene is like, he's too hard, and I'm like, whatever.
Love it.
And so then he's about to like kill Jaster, just like big old sword, and Jaster goes like, we keep saying Super Saiyan. Technically, he goes Kaioken because it's purple, but that's just the DBZ nerd in me.
Also, it's reverse Super Saiyan because his hair goes from blonde to not blonde.
Yeah. So he grabs it. His hair spikes up. He looks just like Seed, but like purple and black instead of white and silver, and he catches the sword like, I'm a badass now. And then you have a 1-on-1 fight with Seed, and I actually died right here the when I found out, because I accidentally got flung into chapter 9 when we were doing chapter 8.
Oh, right.
And so I died on this fight, which there haven't been any save points since the chapter started. So I died on this fight, and that's when it brought me back to my save point that I saw already had said chapter 9, and I just had missed it while I was going. And I'm like,
that's good.
And I'm like, oh, okay, I don't have to do it again. But also, that stuff was so fucking good. How am I not going to talk about it for 2 weeks now? But yeah, it was super dope. So yeah, how did you like the one-on-one fight in general?
I like that it was not 100% auto win, like you died, for example. I didn't die, but it also was like you had to actually put effort in, which I think is cool because it's like even though Jaster just became like Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, this bad guy's really strong. So you still got to put in some effort.
Yeah, it was super cool.
Yeah, he was tough. But if you notice too, when Jaster goes into Super Saiyan mode, he gets 999 HP, which helps.
Oh, I didn't notice that. I just think of it as a meter.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a little rough, but I don't think we had too many problems.
Yeah. So after the fight, Jaster walks up and just solves the Rubik's Cube like it's nothing. And he just walks up and it's just like blah, 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 blah. And you're like, okay, well, since obviously he looks like Seed and they have the same birthmark and they were talking about the genetic code, this is obviously talking about Jaster having the genetic code of being able to do it.
Apparently, in his genes, he has those words.
Yeah, he actually has the Friedrich's OLL method inside of his genes, so he can solve Rubik's Cubes really fast.
Turns out
that was a joke for like one person.
Hey,
like,
I got it. I know a person who's a total nerd about Rubik's Cubes.
Me. But so as he's doing that, Digo recognizes Jaster as the Star King, and nobody else buys it. They're like, no, this is some other mystical thing in which he can solve the Star King ruins. Yeah. It's definitely not the Star King.
It's funny how they act like so far-fetched. I'm like, did y'all not see what just happened?
Right?
It's just, do you have another explanation?
So we go into the ruins, and we see Burton right away, and he's just like, "Oh, thanks for letting me into these ruins. I've always wanted to do it." And he scurries off, and I'm like,
"Where the fuck did you come from?"
I'm like, that's so weird. But apparently, we like made an all points bulletin because there's so many NPCs in this fucking thing. And when you talk to all of them, they're like, "Oh, I'm so glad the ruins are open. I've always been curious to what's over here." And I'm like, how? Who told you? We just had this giant. We just had a giant fight.
The giant Rubik's Cube was very conspicuous, maybe they just saw it.
But how did they get in there before us? Like, did they just
that is a good question.
Be like, ooh,
we didn't even see them go
scary
in.
Fight over there. Like, let's just let them be and let's go and explore these ruins. But so as we're making our way through this dungeon, which we already spoke about earlier, it's a hallway that doesn't look like a hallway. It's really really pretty, but like dungeon design we've given up on in this game pretty much. Yeah. So as we're making our way through, Kasala starts to disappear, and she's like, something's keeping me from getting to Eden. And we're like, what do you have to do with Eden? Oh, well, and we keep walking. So
it's probably nothing.
It's probably nothing. So then we find a robot, but it can't talk, but it seems to like understand us. And we're like, well, like, how can we help? And we fight it, which is weird because like it turns out this actually is a nice robot, and now I just want to know, why the fuck did you try to kill us? But anywho, we had a fight with this robot. I don't remember anything about the fight, to be honest. I think I just spammed it.
It was actually real cool. I think it might be really unleveled at some point for some reason because I'm doing the same strategy y'all do, but it just takes me longer. But that means I can get to see the animations, which is nice.
Yeah.
He's just a cool robot, man. He moves very characterfully. And it was a lot of fun. Also, to your point of them just fighting, sometimes I feel like, you know how in a musical, sometimes the characters, like the music starts playing while people are talking, and it's like, I think I hear a song coming on. They're clearly about to burst into song. It's like they're building up to it. And sometimes they'll even get meta and mention it. I feel like that's how this is with battles in this game. It's like they didn't want to fight, but then the game just like goes into battle mode, and it's like we have to fight now. It went into battle mode. Like, it's like they're compelled to fight somehow. It comes off as very funny to me.
There's been a couple of times in this game, and then one time in Persona, that I thought it was one of those trick RPG fights where the person doesn't want to fight, so you don't fight them. So like I sat there and let Chidori like hit me with fire a couple of times because she kept talking about how she didn't want to fight, but you actually like had to. And so like I thought this might be one of those where it's like, oh, it's a robot, but like it was kind of our friend. Do we have to figure out a puzzle? No, the puzzle is get its HP down far enough, and then it'll talk to you.
If I've learned anything from video games, it's that if you don't
we
want to
just
fight
wailed
someone,
on it.
Yeah. So
exactly.
After the fight, it opens up its chest, and there's a big ol' like missing component, and they're like, oh, okay, we'll go and try. Sorry.
No, wasn't that funny?
It got me though. Like most, like the jokes that get me aren't necessarily funny. They just have to be like at the right time, and they get me.
I'm your guy if you want jokes that aren't funny.
But so we go to try and find it, and meanwhile, we see Burton translate some runes in there, and he's like, wait, Eden is bad, actually. Like, all of these people wanting to find good shit, like, they're going to be wrong, because that's not how it goes. And so but then cuts to us walking onto a save point, and we see that Mark isn't dead. There's actually 2 Mark cutscenes. I'm going to throw them all in once because I don't remember when the other one happens. But we see that Mark isn't dead, and some police dude is walking in and sees Pistachio say Mark to the thing, and he's like, but what were you doing? He's like, oh, I was just watching porn or something. Like, it's a big deal.
I was watching pornography.
He said specifically that he was talking to Steve, but I like the porn thing more.
and so he's like, okay, well, that's weird. And so then later comes back, is like, you're under arrest for shoving the soul of a boy into a robot, because that's fucked up.
We have a law about that.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't matter if it's your own child.
Right?
It's bad. You shouldn't do that.
And so Mark comes to the realization. He's like, look, I'm just data. My dad can't go to jail. He also, it's really creepy that for like 10 years now he's been stuck on me just being dead and shit. He really needs to move on. So I'm going to grow up and actually kill myself and delete myself by giving Steve a hug for some reason. And
plus I have a really weird complex about looking like the berries and cream lad.
And so Mark kills himself to keep his dad from going to jail, and then in like Pistachio still did the crime. The police are just like, well, good enough for me. Crime's over. So what are we going to do about it?
Not only that, but evidence was destroyed.
Yeah,
that's like super illegal.
Yeah, it's like, you're cops. Aren't you supposed to just, it's your word against his, aren't you supposed to just arrest him with no evidence, and that's fine because you're cops? Aren't you supposed to just be, I guess cops aren't corrupt in this world.
Like, if the cops can fucking throw Catman into jail for no good reason, so much that the public doesn't even know where he is, you can fucking throw Pistachio in jail for, like, you seeing a crime, like, you are witnessing it happen. You have 3 cop eyewitnesses seeing that it happened. You're right.
That's a good point.
So, so Mark finally killed himself. We thought that he had before, but he really did now. And
finally,
right? So,
we don't escape those meanwhiles, though.
Yeah, so I was expecting, for some reason, because Jaster was accepted as part of the crew, he got a revelation flow item to unlock his the second half of his ability board. I was expecting something like that for Steve.
Oh,
and now I'm just like, what was the this was good. It was emotionally made me care about Pistachio and Mark and Steve and everything, but not in a way that ties to the plot. So I'm I don't know, why is this even a thing? But
maybe it'll come together later. But so far, it seems totally unrelated.
There was that thing about Mio spying on Datron, which we still haven't seen, and so maybe that will be a thing here in a bit. But so far, it's just okay, well, Steve just became his true self or whatever. Give me something for it. But
These cutscenes so far have only existed to interrupt my saves, and it's annoying.
Yeah.
Also, I gotta say, like, if they're trying to make it be like Datron's evil, well, first of all, duh, we know. Second of all, I don't know. Don't put the soul of people into robots. That doesn't seem like an outrageous law to me.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, not at all. So, so back in the ruins, we fight a giant sand squid, which,
yes.
like, this is the one that makes me, like, upset that I'm too good at this game, because this had, like, the coolest boss fight mechanics so far in the game.
Yeah.
But those boss fight mechanics were easily cheesed by the fact that we have super strong AoEs and then also Illusion Sword.
Mm-hmm.
So the boss comes out, and it's like this mushroom-shaped giant squid thing, and it has a titload of like tentacles, and you can't damage the squid until you take down the tentacles. But all the tentacles count as separate mobs, so all you have to do to take down the mobs is use one of your strong AoE spells, and it kills all of them. And then the squid falls into the sand, can't attack you or do nothing. So you turn on Illusion Sword and you whack it on its head for like 2 Illusion Swords, and it's gone. And I'm like, this was so cool, and I cheesed it in like a second, and that made me really upset. But
so when Ken and I were doing this, he kept thinking, for some reason, he's thinking the monogamy shot is gonna come back. It's gonna come back. I'm gonna have to use this
I
thing.
really wish it would. Like,
he'd been using it on mimics, because you can use it on a mimic and then just jump on its head and it dies.
What
the fuck?
Are you kidding me?
Wait, I didn't tell you guys that?
You've been holding out on us.
Yeah, so, if you use the monogamy shot on a mimic, you just go and jump on its head over and over, and then it's dead.
I love that.
That's
cool.
like, it's a super easy way to cheese the mimics.
That's super cool. I'm upset. But
you guys haven't been watching my Let's Plays then, because Ken definitely did that.
I pop in and I like skim it, but like I don't want to play the game an entire twice, because that's how long it would
fair
take.
enough.
Yeah. So I go through and I like check on like, oh, let's watch their boss fights, and oh, let's watch like what they say when this plot point happened and stuff. But I skip over almost all of the dungeoneering part.
Yeah, next time a mimic comes up, whip out your monography shot and just jump on it over and over and over, and it's pretty great.
That's super great. I think I'm out of mimics because I've cleared out almost all of the game so far. But if we see one on Eden, that's what I'll do.
Yeah, there you go.
Turns out
anyway,
the mimics.
Yeah.
Kasala's just the mimic princess. Spoilers.
They can be a mimic. They can look like anything.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
They just always pick treasure chests.
But anyway, yeah, he was like, no, I gotta use a monography shot so I can get up onto its head and I can attack it. I'm like, look at its legs. Its legs are going dark. Attack the legs. And he was like, no, but the monography shot. And so finally I got him to attack the legs. He was like, and it like fell down into the sand, and he's like, oh.
Yeah.
But for some reason, we didn't think to just AoE the legs. So he was using Illusion Sword over and over on them, which worked.
Yeah.
It was effective, and it didn't make the fight any more difficult. It just took a little bit longer than it probably would have if we AoE'd.
Yeah.
Also, Starling to Venus is fucking amazing, and we should have used that.
Whose board is that on?
That's on Kasala's, and it's linked with Lilica.
Okay. I think I might have that one. I don't know.
It's the Sailor Moon move. Yeah. That's what we've been calling it.
Nice.
Not only does it AoE, but if it doesn't kill everything automatically, which it should because it's OP as fuck, if it doesn't kill everything automatically, it freezes them.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah. It's super sweet.
I have been using Missile Squall level 3 because it's ridiculously overpowered.
That's a really good one.
And on top of that, it doesn't require the clovers or the roses, which we finally can get in this chapter. Like it just was super easy to get, and it takes like 44 AP, and I think I already have a couple like efficiencies unlocked for Simon. So it's just
gotcha.
It's ridiculously strong, and they know it, and they make it expensive, but then I can just cheese it by throwing him a potion every fight. And so like it does like 12,000 damage to every mob on screen, and it's ridiculously strong. And
I apologize. We got off on a tangent.
yeah, because of you this time.
Damn it! It's all my fault.
All along.
But yeah, so the fight was really cool, super easy to cheese. But when you kill the squid, it had eaten the robot part somehow for some reason. So we take it back to Ragnar, the robot, and that apparently was like his vocoder, because now he can talk to us instead of fighting us. And he's like, "Oh hey, what's up, Kasala? You're the princess of Eden." But I don't know it as Eden. I know it as Mariglin. And
Eden is French.
And I a lot of things.
That's why it's dangerous.
I think because English is like Japanese. This sounds racist. I'm not trying to be, but Japanese is like half English at this point. Like the way that they adopted words, they just use the English word. Mm-hmm. So it's like that. So like English doesn't feel like a foreign language in Japanese. So I feel like French is there. Like this is a real foreign language. It's not that English katakana bullshit. This is like the real shit. Because like everything uses French. Yeah,
it sounds so different from Japanese too.
So I think that's kind of why, like, Mitsuru spoke French. Bebe was French. The Eden is French. There's an entire anime that I love. It's called Glass Fleet. That the main beef is, or the main like plot twist centers around the main character Michelle being Michelle with one L because it's a man's name, but turns out it's actually Michelle with an LE because it's a female's name, and it's super good. But it's like that whole thing is just like because it only works in French, and I'm like, why is this a Japanese anime if the main pun is a French pun? But whatever. But another tangent. So Eden. She's the princess of Eden. Her real name is Rayearth, and they dropped her off in the a main like hyperspace route so that she would be found by Dork and Goa. I wrote in my notes, I'm like, thank God Dork and Goa doesn't fuck.
It looks like it would be very unpleasant for everyone involved if he did.
Yeah, so Kasala's adopted, and Ragnar's like, hey, we need you back on Eden. Here's a key. It'll turn this tablet into a Stargate and take you back to Mariglin. And we're like, okay, cool. And as we leave, Burton shows up into that room, and he's like, hey, guys, wait. And Ragnar turns around and kills him.
Yes.
So Burton's dead.
I died.
Again.
It's so funny.
I would love, though, if like we just saw him kill Burton, though technically off screen he killed Burton. It cut to black before it happened. I would love if we find some ruins on Mariglin and Burton shows up. He's just like, oh boy, I love some ruins.
He's like casts all over, like he's in like a full body cast and wheeling around in a chair and.
Or he's a ghost, and then he comes back again, and then dies again. It's funny. It's funny every time. I'm here for it.
Yeah. So when we get outside, Volkog has brought the Emperor to Saugen, is just like blowing up, and he's like, "Hey guys, give me the key," and we're like, "Okay, take it. Stop killing my hometown. That's pretty easy.
Yeah.
We don't actually care about Eden that much. Like whatever." And then Raoul is like, "No, you have to protect the starry sky that you love so much." And I'm just like, is Jasper like that in love with the idea of space that was the like turnaround, like don't save the hometown or anything like that? It's just like, but no, remember space? Isn't space so cool, Jasper? I just want to protect space.
It's like he's just 5 years old.
He loves space so much, why doesn't he marry it?
Hey, well, he clearly is in love with Kusala, and Kusala is like space, but face the person. So
yeah, so we'll see. But so Raoul is a badass actually, which like it's such an overused trope that like I'm a priest because I did dark shit in my past and I don't want it to come back to me. But every time I see some priest be like, now it's time for me to whip out all my super badass weaponry that I've had for forever, I'm just like, hell yeah, that's so cool. But like,
oh yeah,
it's everywhere.
It's a time honored trope. It goes all the way back to our main boy. St. Augustine, like, you become a priest because you're actually the worst possible person and you want to stop, and the only way you can think to stop being bad is to literally take a vow of celibacy and enter a monastery.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happens. So Raoul has like this magic-y space sci-fi staff thing, and he presses the button on it, and it's like this giant EMP that's like about to crash the fucking ship. So instead, they fucking shoot him with like a surface-to-air missile type shit. And
it seems like overkill.
Yeah, he gets fucking destroyed.
Yeah,
like
completely wrecked.
One of my favorite like shots in the game so far, though, was Raul getting wrecked, because he just like, it's like ragdoll physics in a game that doesn't have ragdoll physics, and he's just like being thrown through the air in like slow motion, and it's super beautiful. But it's just like, fuck, dude, like you could have just like leaned out your window with a pistol and accomplished the same thing. You didn't have to blow him up.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised he didn't just get vaporized from that.
Yeah.
That guy's a badass. Like, he still lived for a little while afterwards.
Yeah. So you get a really good Lion King Simba moment, and like one of like Summer laughed at it because she had no context, but I loved it so much. Like Mansha, who started to hate Jaster because he's just like, no, I'm the first mate, and then Jaster's like, but what about this idea? And he's like, okay, cool, fuck Mansha, let's do what Jaster says. It's like, he's a comic character, hates Jaster, all of that stuff. He turns away in sadness when Jaster's having his Simba moment with Raul, and like that was super powerful to me, and I don't even know why. Like, I loved
which
it
makes
so much.
him more sensitive to understanding than Kasala.
Yeah, he just was
That's
like,
true.
Stop being sad. We have
She literally
shit to do.
slaps him. She's like, "Damn, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you? I don't get it. I don't get it."
Yeah. So
yeah, I was kind of annoyed at how Kasala.
So like,
it's pretty funny.
Going back through my screenshots, like redoing it, I didn't hate like the actual things that she said as much as like when it happened, I was like, this is fucking stupid. Like, let him feel his feelings or whatever. Like,
yeah,
it
it was
valid.
Yeah, it was way better this time, because it was almost like you're sad that you lost your family, but we're your actual family. Like, you still have all these people that care about you, which was like really good. And like, she had to slap him because she tried to do the like, I'm just going to be here for you thing. Like, let's just talk about the stars and like just be normal. And he gets up and is like, nah, fuck you. And she's just like, look, dude, like we care about you. And I liked it a lot better in reviewing it for my notes, but it was very just like, you just slapped a man at his dad's funeral.
yeah, it was a bit of emotional whiplash, but the things that she said were not bad.
Yeah.
Like,
it's actually just weird writing. Like, the concept of it was fine, because it came off as like, because what she's saying is like, you're not alone, right? But she compares him to herself, so she's like, oh, you're all alone with no family. Guess what? So am I, bitch. But the thing is, it's like, okay,
that line,
yes, we have that in common, but you also didn't have your dad literally die in front of you 5 seconds ago.
Yeah.
And also, you just found out you're a princess, so
like, if she wanted to have thrown in that thing, or if she would have just said, instead of being like, me too, like, we're in the same boat here, like, I'm over it, why aren't you over it, which is what it came off as. She would have been like, no, everyone here loves you. She's like, I don't have actual parents, but I was with Dork and Goa and he raised me as his own, and I have all these people, and these people are our family, these people are your family. Like, that would have been a better way to get through it, but instead she's just like, remember me, I'm sad too, I guess. I just found out I'm the magical space princess, but it makes me sad.
You know, Sam, I've looped around to liking it now. You know why? Because, so basically, she wanted to do something nice and say the right thing, but she just said it in a dumb way, but eventually she looped around to what she was trying to say, and it worked. Haven't we all been there? Haven't we all
that's true.
To be comforting to someone, but just words are hard and you screw it up.
Yeah.
But eventually you're like,
said a
no,
thing
look, I'm trying to be nice here.
Yeah.
Actually, so we were talking about like
dumbass, like
how we didn't think Kasala would have her chapter yet. This was definitely Kasala's chapter, and I think they delivered. Like, I really like Kasala as a person, especially after this sad scene, and then when she goes with you into the desert here in a sec.
Like, in real
life,
it
only took 60 hours of gameplay.
Like, in real life, you don't always have the perfect anime speech, you know?
Yeah.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah, I like it a whole lot.
It definitely did make it more human. And I mean, they easily could have gone the route of her being like, be a man. And I'm glad they didn't do that.
Yeah, that is very good. Yeah.
Yeah. So when she had slapped him, she knocked the pendant out of his hand. And so after their big, like, we love each other thing, the pendant starts to glow, and it's a map to the desert, which like it keeps cutting back to Raul saying like this pendant will guide you. He was literally being like, this is a map.
Yeah, it wasn't a metaphor.
And so it points out to the middle of the desert, and we're and Kasala's like, look, like the whole Eden thing is happening, but you need to feel your feelings right now. Let's go on this life quest and let's go to the desert. And Dorkingo is like, no. And then Kasala is like, tough. And he's like, okay, you're right. So go ahead. and so we make our way out to the desert. In the desert, we see the poor people that we've been following this whole game again on yet another
They're dead. They are ghosts.
Tired of them.
And so this time it felt like we were going to have emotional thing, and I thought that spoilers were about to happen because I've been waiting for these spoilers to happen because they were spoiled for me, but however haven't happened yet. And so it's just like, okay, let's go home instead of trying to find Dad. And she's like, okay, let's go to our home that we have. It's a real thing. And I'm like, you're not homeless? Wash your fucking clothes. Like before you get on your ship to go to your next thing, just stop in, change clothes, take Chie out of that weird head wrap thing, and just like,
I hate her
like,
weird.
be normal.
Like, is she a bug? Is she an insect? Does she have antennae? What is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's gross.
Well,
I don't like it.
My thought was like, they're dead. They've got to be dead because they keep following us around to every planet. They're always in the same clothes. They're always crying. They're always looking for the same person. They're dead. Of course they're wearing the same clothes, and their home is the afterlife. They're going to finally move on to the afterlife and wait for Dad there.
Yeah.
Which means they got to wait for Dad to die.
That's really smart and makes a lot of sense. I feel that's not the case, but we'll just have to see. Yeah, I don't have any.
I am probably 100% wrong.
I just want to acknowledge
but that's just
smart.
Yeah, thank you. That is my theory.
Yeah.
I'm sticking to it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be wrong, but that's just like based on what I've seen so far, that's how it seems.
Well, that would be good. All the things I've thought of as my counter theories are like way worse than that. So I hope that they're dead.
I still think Simon's dad. I still think Simon is this show guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are making our way through the desert, and there's a bunch of like weird ghost people that make sure we're decent people at like the most base level. It's like, oh hey, my husband's dying. He looks just like this dead person that you just saw. Like, will you tell me the truth? And you're just like, yeah. And then,
yeah.
Okay, cool. You can come into our secret city, which is on the other side of this like permanent sandstorm. First off, in every anime, if there's a permanent sandstorm, there's a beautiful town inside of it.
They're hiding the
works.
good shit in there.
Yeah, like,
yeah.
Like, first off, that doesn't ever happen. Second off, it never is moving. So like, someone fly over it with a ship and then see it. Like it's crazy. But so you make your way in, and suddenly you're in the Netherlands. Like,
oh my gosh,
it's like literally the Sound of Music in there, and it's like,
and it's called Johannesburg.
Yeah,
so
it's pretty damn close to the actual Netherlands.
I did not pick up on that imagery, but yeah, that's totally what they were going for. Now that I think about it,
and so we start to ask around, and nobody has any idea what the Star King is. They have no idea what Jaster's cheek hair means. They don't know anything about anything. And we're like, well, that's weird. But they keep like talking in vague terms. If you actually talk to the NPCs, I was trying to find like an item shop or something, and I stumbled upon the next part. But they alluded in this dialogue that what you're supposed to do is talk to all the NPCs, and they vaguely mention like, oh, there's like a girl that lives out in that abandoned house on the edge of town, I think, or something. Like it's all vague, where they just have a fuzzy grasp on something, and you're like, well, I'm gonna go see what that is. And so you go there, and you find Jaster's mom. And she doesn't say,
just hanging out. She's like, "What's
up?" She doesn't say she's Jaster's mom till after, but she's a blonde lady.
She's Jaster's mom.
She's a blonde lady with Jaster's cheek hair. So like, come on.
Although Jaster takes forever to figure out anything.
Yeah. So we get in there and we're like, who are you? What do you know? And she's like, well, I can't tell you anything until we fight. And you have a one-on-one fight with Jaster that has a fake out in the middle of it where you then go Super Saiyan to be able to beat the rest of it. It's pretty cool. This one is closer to like the Digo fight than the others. Like it actually does test you. And she does this thing where she'll split off into 5, and it's super cool. I didn't even think here I could have cheesed that with an AoE as well. I didn't even think of it. I just illusion sword and until I took her down.
Yeah, we used a guide, and thank God we did, because that fight actually does require you to be good at the game. And I mean, Ken is good at the game, but it still helped to have that information ahead of time.
You said you one-shot her? Did you really one-shot her or just take her down?
We did. We absolutely, we got her down in one try.
Oh, okay. You one try. I thought you meant
one try. Yeah, not like one shot.
No. I'm like, no. What's that secret? Do you monography shot and jump on her head?
You equip the freaking relic that makes you attack twice per turn, and then you
Yeah.
No. When I said one shot, I meant one attempt.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Famine joke.
But yeah, the guide that we had said to use Desert Wind level 3 anytime the ads were up, and it was really challenging. I had to pay attention to Ken's health bar, because if he was playing alone, he would have definitely died.
Yeah.
Because there were a couple of times where it was like, heal.
That's one of the biggest reasons is I'm so used to nothing touching me in my mob fights that in boss fights, and because I have go all out on, so my dudes heal for me all the time.
Oh yeah,
because they just throw me the thing, and so.
But when you're alone, you don't
can't
have
do
that.
So I'm just I could just tank this, and then it's it does the thing where it throws me a bone and saves me at 1 HP. It's all right, this wasn't supposed to kill you, but go and save yourself now. I'm just what? Another round of illusion sword? Let's do this, guys. And that's how I've died every single time.
Die every time.
But yeah, so I really liked the fight. Even when I was illusion sorting, I didn't it still required me to try, which was really good.
It was a good fight.
Yeah, I and thematically it was good and everything. It was great. So after the fight, she starts to explain everything, and she says that she trapped the town in a time loop because everyone had this disease and she couldn't cure it. So she trapped them in a time loop so that the disease wouldn't progress.
Normal.
So she played God.
Regular thing to do.
Yeah, she had the power of the Star King. What else was she supposed to do? There wasn't an interplanetary war until later. That's Jaster's bullshit. She just had to help this one town on this one planet. So she as part of that had to remove the town's memories of her, but because they loved her so much, they named the town after her, and everyone always has fond memories of her. That's why they had oh yeah, Johanna is right outside of town, I think. Who's Johanna? I don't know, but go over there. Everyone has vague memories of her or whatever, and so she then tells Jaster that she is the descendant of the Star King, and so is Jaster, and it's Jaster's destiny to bring hope to the people again. And then she starts to disappear, and Jaster calls her mom. And this is a tangent, but it's a planned tangent just because this is something that gets to me in every RPG. Calling someone your mom or your dad is an earned thing for me.
Mm-hmm, totally.
A lot of my friends are from broken homes, and so you have your mom and Tony or something. You have your mom and then a stepdad whose name is his name, and his name is not dad.
Yep.
And so then when you call him dad for the first time, or yeah, this is my dad, Tony, or something like that, that then means something for the first time ever. Yeah. And Jaster's who is this lady out of nowhere? I'm just going to call her mom. I'm I don't think she counts.
I 100% sure I thought the same thing. Actually, when me and Bernard and other people were writing my video game, Dinosaurs in Pakistan, I wrote a scene towards the end. I'm not the main writer, but Bernard was hey, you write it, and then I'll just rewrite. I'll just touch it up. It's just a writing process that we have. And I did that. There's a dramatic revelation, and a person says mom, and Bernard explained to me, and as soon as he said it, I was yeah, you're totally right. It's you don't call someone mom 5 seconds after meeting them, or dad. It's weird.
Yeah.
And I've always remembered that. And it always bugs me as well. Totally agreed.
and then here in a second, spoilers, Jaster then meets his dad and doesn't call his dad. He still calls his dad by his name, which is crazy.
He does say, you're my dad. But still, even then, you think he would say, you're my father, you know?
Yeah.
Weird.
It's weird. But that might be that might be an English thing. So it could just be like the fact that this wasn't written in English.
Yeah.
So.
But but then the localizer still should have realized he should at least call her mother, right?
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mom.
Or like they do a thing where they replace, because like in Japanese, if you give a shit about a person, you never call them their pronoun, you call them their name. And so in Japanese, they do that all the time, where they're taking out just saying people's names over and over again to put in pronouns and stuff that makes sense. Like there, they could have taken out Okasan or whatever, or haha or whatever he actually called her right there, and instead say Johanna. Like it could have, like, they didn't have to do that at all. They do it in the reverse all the time. But
maybe Jasper just bonds really quickly, like a dog.
Maybe he does. So, no, actually, this is all Kasala's fault, because he hadn't bonded with anybody, and she's like, "Look around, we're all your family." He's like, "Okay, family could be people I just met."
So everybody in my general area, like if you're within 10 feet of me, you are my family now. So then he's like,
Jasper's not very quick on the uptake. Let's be real here.
Like he sees a butterfly and he's like, "Is this my mom?"
I fucking love that meme, by the way.
I now have another meme to Photoshop to throw up in the Discord.
Oh, yeah.
But, so outside of Johannesburg, I don't remember why, but we get like pushed out of Johannesburg. I didn't have any screenshots for this. I just remember it happening. I don't really know why, but it was one of these things that the narrative of Rogue Galaxy and the gameplay don't care, because they like go outside of it.
Remember?
Yeah. So
it
like disappears
vanishes because
it
it's all
pushes
the
us
time
out.
loop stops or something.
Yeah, and then in addition, they're like, weren't we just in a town? Like their memories are a little foggy of it, but you can go to a fucking save point and teleport back into Johannesburg.
Oh, really?
They don't give a shit.
I didn't realize you could do that.
Yeah, the game doesn't care about its own narrative, and it's kind of awesome for that. But
how else are you going to go to that one shop?
Right?
That's true.
And so, so then outside, Desert Claw is like, okay, cool, you've awoken your destiny as a Star King. My work here is now done. And
but you didn't do anything.
And
goodbye.
And so he's like, oh, so actually, way back in the day, I stumbled into Johannesburg and I boned the shit out of your mom. So I'm your dad now.
Okay, it takes him way too long to explain it, and he's like, I met a beautiful woman, and I fell in love. We had a baby. At the very end, he's like, and that baby was you. And Jasper's like, ooh.
That baby was Albert Einstein.
He said about your mom. Do you need to explain that means that the baby is you?
Yeah. Well, the whole time he's doing this, I'm like, I fucking called it. In like episode 2 of our Let's Play.
Yeah,
like, he's fucking Jasper's dad.
So Spiff's throwaway joke has been Desert Claw, who's definitely our dad. Like, for me, the whole, like, he didn't feel like he would be your dad. I was expecting him to be like our Alfred type thing, to be like,
oh no, I was 0% joking.
We've been watching over and like doing stuff, and there were a couple of things that like made me think it was actually like a mentor relationship and not like a father one. And so then the big reveal of Jasper's parenthood came first with his mom, and I'm like, aha, Spiff is wrong. It's he's not his dad. And then we go outside. It's like, I am your dad. I'm just like, this has been a roller coaster.
Also, I gotta say, his whole like, I'm your dad, and here's why I wasn't there for your whole life explanation, pretty weak.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
that too. Better. He should have just lied and made up something better, frankly.
Yeah.
I did have a couple of times where I was like, well, maybe Desert Claw isn't Jasper's dad. Maybe I was wrong. And then it happened. I'm like, this game is super predictable.
Oh my God, wait. He ditched his kid for years. That's why they call him Desert Claw.
Desert Claw. Yeah.
But his excuse was that he knew that he was not good enough to raise you by yourself, and he didn't. Since Johanna wasn't there to raise him as the next Star King, he needed to go and fill Johanna's shoes. So he gave you to Raul to raise you as like a good human, and then he would go and find all the Star King stuff to raise you as a good Star King.
Sorry, did you mention why Johanna's not there?
Oh, no, I did not. So he's our dad. They boned, and then they were going to leave to go and raise Jaster. But when she left,
they wanted to go to space.
Yeah, when she left the time loop, she died to the disease because she had contracted it and didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So she died to the disease from the town once she left the time loop, which was sad.
Yeah,
but
yes,
yeah. So Desert Claw leaves to go and learn all the Star King stuff, and so he did, and that's why he came back to like help you on your quest and everything. And he said that the Star King once ruled the galaxy, and he came around to end an interplanetary war, and now the world needs a Star King again, and that's you, Jaster. Now go through the literal Stargate and go and do the thing. So you do that.
Yep. Well, or at least we will do it.
Yeah. I don't. So I think what we did. I think where I told us to stop. Did y'all stop right there? Or did y'all do one more thing?
There's some cutscenes on the Dorgan Goa, but remember they give you the Dorgan Arc. They give you a very clear, like, literal point of no return, yes or no. So I hit. Yeah. Well, I didn't get this far, but this is what we decided to do. You hit no, and then you save.
Yeah, okay. So I was about to talk about that part, but I didn't remember if I said don't hit the button on Rosa or if I said don't hit the button on the Dorgan Arc. So yeah.
Oh wait, I may have just had. I think I just had a save on the Dorgan Arc. Like we didn't go up to the helm or anything.
Okay, yeah.
I was like, okay, this is where we need to.
I didn't go up to the helm either. So basically, you take your key piece thing back to the tablet on Rosa. You put it in, and then it literally turns into a Stargate. Like it shoots up into the sky, and then but it turns into like a ring with a portal in the middle of it, and it's a straight up Stargate. And they're like, cool, let's go through it to get to Mariglen. Do you want to save first? And I'm like, yes. And then also, I probably will go and get some treasure chests before I go back. But
yeah, because we just got the Sun Key.
Yeah, so you get the Sun Key from Johanna, and I'm like, I need to know what all's in these Sun Key chests. So. Gotta go.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
I thought it was
that's more important.
How they just leave the Stargate there, which is fine. Like we gotta prepare. Dorgan Go is like, y'all gotta go prepare. But the thing is, like, can anybody go through that Stargate? We're trying to
keep Datron.
Could Datron can anyone go through the Stargate? Could Datron just fly their ship through it while we're dicking around?
Like,
see ya, bitches.
So like, I've slightly been spoiled on a set piece that will be happening eventually because our Twitter background that I found, which was the only HD Rogue Galaxy background on the internet, and it's really cool. But it's the Emperor and the Dorgan Arc in outer space shooting each other, which has not happened yet. So either as we fly to the Stargate, it'll happen there, or we'll be at Eden and it'll happen in that other galaxy or something.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they're going to go through. Oh yeah, you actually we alighted the fact that it's another galaxy. That's really cool, and they explain that really subtly. When they tell Cassandra she's a princess, I just want to bring this up because I really liked it. When they tell Cassandra she's a princess, it's actually really subtle, good writing. Instead of saying like you came here from your home planet, he's like I brought you here from another galaxy, and it's like that's so cool because it's like at this point we didn't realize the game like that's. Another galaxy is way huger, because the space between galaxies is enormous, right? So, like, that's just way more dramatic than just like, oh, you're from another planet. It's like, oh, whoa, she's really special. Whoa, cool.
Which I thought was super dope. But, yeah, that's where we stopped for the week. We will only play two chapters next week. I mean, you guys will probably only play two chapters next week.
You will definitely play more than that.
Yeah.
How about you just do hunts? And you know what, Sam? If you want to play the game more after doing 2 chapters, just do a bunch of Insectron. That's satisfying, right?
No.
I'm inclined to agree with Sam there.
So we were trying to like stay on task and cut out tangents, and we barely made it to an hour, and that includes the part where my mic died.
Yeah, you did a good job. Go team.
Maybe we should have done a few more tangents.
Yeah.
Maybe
well, one thing I actually did want to bring up, and this is related to earlier when we found out about Zegrim's girlfriend, wife lady. I'm a little annoyed at how often this game is using women as a tool to progress the male storylines, because they did the same with Rosencaster.
Yeah.
And Elf Lady, like with Doggo. So like it seems like we have a couple of girls on our team, but it feels a little more like they're meant to be the token women. Like, Lilica is the token badass woman, and Kisala is the girl who is meant to fall in love with Jaster.
Even more, she's the magical plot girl, which you always have. That actually makes her less of a character. Like, the fact that she's plot relevant and is the magical princess, it means that she's not a person. She's just a plot point.
She's a plot element.
That's one thing that, like, a lot of writers get trapped into, especially male writers who don't realize they're doing this because they do it like on accident because it's ingrained in us or whatever, where they know that writing a strong female character is important, so they write Buffy Summers and Willow, whatever Willow's last name is, and also Cordelia and Angel, not in Buffy, but I'm getting bogged down. So you write these main party members that are well written, rounded, and everything, to then only use every other female that comes along as a trope to further
it's like you have to try really hard to do it right a few times, but then you default, like, your default is that their plot point, which that should not be your default.
No, absolutely not. Well, and it's weird too, because, like, you kind of know that Kisala is there to be the love interest for Jaster, but they have no chemistry. They make, like, no...
I don't know. I like when you said that earlier, that how could they be in love? Like, it's been fairly obvious for me. So I don't know.
I don't see it. I don't really see them, like, as having any sort of connection. And then we got this ability for Jaster that is a link with Kisala that says something like, the strength of their love binds them together and defeats enemies. And I'm just like, where did this come from? Okay, they've never, like, made any mention of caring about each other in that way.
See, like, for me, like, I don't feel you have to have a Mamoru and Usagi style, like chemistry thing. Like, the fact that him and Kisala are just so vulnerable with each other, and, like, always, like, from the minute he comes out to, like, meet her for the first time, she's just like, you look like you might be faking it and you have something on you, and, like, she can just, like, get to him, and, like, that's, like, a very real, like, love thing. And, like, you can have it with your friends and whatever, but the fact that like I see them as having chemistry because, like, Jaster isn't vulnerable with anybody except for Kisala, and the whole time throughout the whole thing they've had this been a thing ishness to them, and them having this, like, heart to heart at night on Rosa didn't end with and I love you, but I didn't feel it needed to say it because it kind of was, like, there already.
Oh, I'm sure they'll say it eventually.
Here's the bisexual take on this.
Ooh, let's hear it.
I'm like that with all my friends. I'm always like that with everyone because my friends are very important to me. If I, like, I don't know, I don't feel like I have to be in a relationship with someone to be vulnerable with them, and I don't feel like I have to, you know, because if that was the case, like, if I was only, I don't know, I guess pulling bisexual into that was the bad route to take, but like, I don't know, I don't feel like they have to be a couple to be that close to one another, and I'm. Yeah, like I said, you know, I'm just like that with everyone.
I don't think they have to, but I understand that they do, because you said that you're like that with everyone. That means you're emotionally mature. Jaster's big thing is he wants to go to space. He is not emotionally mature.
Okay, fair enough.
And so it's like as a person who like I've been super shy my whole life. I've, like, very, very rarely opened up to people. I was one of those fuckboys that would say I'm an open book and then wouldn't tell you anything. Like, I would answer questions but then not ever give you the opportunity to ask them. Like, I was very much, like, not emotionally mature. And so then, like, I met Summer, and I just like see her. I'm just like, hey, do you want to like look at all these skeletons in my closet and like help me decide what they mean? Because like I want to do that with you. And like I see that with Jaster and Kasala, where like yeah, he has a good friendship with everybody else, but like the fact that they linger on it with Kasala and not other people means that like for me this is their like love, but it's a love of friendship that develops into a romantic love and not a separate thing where like I don't think Usagi and Mamoru will be friends if they break up. I know they won't because of like destiny or whatever, but like they are a romantic relationship 100%. There's not necessarily like the friendship that goes underneath it. And for Kasala, like I see it developing as a like strong friendship that then becomes a romantic love as it goes on. And I really like it actually.
The reason I realize I brought bisexuality into it is because like if like I have the potential to be in love with any one of my friends because I am attracted to pretty much everything. I have no like you have a body, it's hot. Like there you go. If you have a body, I enjoy it. And I mean, I guess technically people would call that pansexual, but more people understand what bisexual is, so whatever. In
the end, your identity is your identity, and if you prefer the word bi, that's all on you.
Yeah, exactly. So like to me, it's like I don't know. I guess it's just a straight person thing where it's like, well, there's this guy and this girl, and of course they're vulnerable with each other, and because they're vulnerable with each other, it must mean they're in love. It's not like they can't just be friends with each other because, reasons.
That's definitely an element of it, especially when it comes up in a trope in media.
Yeah, and to be fair, I wasn't saying that I think that they are in a lot of love right now, but being spoiled that their love is eternal and that thing, I buy it. Like I buy it here. I'm not opposed to it happening because I see all of these things. I still thought that like the only reason they would be getting together would be tropiness and like it had the opportunity for them to just be good friends, but like because it took me to that point and then it's like, oh, they're in love at the end of it. I'm like, cool, because they're like, besides she saying she liked his eyes at the very beginning of the game, they haven't really flirted. And so as far as sweeping intergalactic romances between a king and a princess can be, I felt that this one was on a really good foundation of like caring about each other, which you don't usually get.
I mean, look, at least she didn't say that. At least she didn't confess her love for him after he like killed a bunch of sand people, and not just the men, but the women and the children. Like,
so you know how when a bunch of people will ship a queer couple or ship people as a queer couple, like
because they talk about their emotions like once.
Okay, yeah. Finn and okay. Let me talk. Let me explain.
Sorry, I got you.
So you know how let's go with Finn and Poe from the Force Awakens and Last Jedi. A lot of people started shipping Finn and Poe. And a bunch of straight people will come in and be like, why can't they just be friends? Why does it always have to turn into gay shit? Blah, 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 blah. That's how I'm feeling right now. Like, why does it always have to turn into straight shit? Why can't they just be friends?
Like, I agree that it would be better if they weren't. And I'm like a little sad that they ended up together. But the route to getting them ended up together, I have enjoyed way more than like Tifa and Cloud and stuff like that.
Well, I don't know Tifa and Cloud because I've never played 7, but I do know like I get what you're saying where it's probably like it was very sudden or that it was very clear that they had a romantic bond. And I mean like I said, I could tell that in some way Kasala was probably brought in to be Jaster's girlfriend at some point, but it was still something like I was holding out some hope that they were going to be really close friends and that, there wouldn't really be any romantic sort of entanglement, at least not in the game. They could totally get together, but it doesn't need to be any sort of focus in the game because I like them as friends. I think they work well as friends, but then it's like, oh, no, they are actually in love. And
what we're also talking about all of this because of that gameplay thing of the flavor text of that move. And we have to remember that the designers didn't talk to the writers until the last day that they shipped this game.
That's true.
So the writers may not give us an explicit "I love you" at the end. Like,
maybe who wrote that flavor text was just like, they're in love, right?
It'll go the Korra and Asami route where they just kind of hold hands and look at each other lovingly, and that's it, and it's subtext.
Yeah, like maybe it's subtext, and the game designers were just like looking at the notes, and they're like, "Oh, they get in love at the end. Let's make a love superpower."
I'll continue holding out some hope then.
Yeah, that could totally be the case. And have either of y'all played Xenogears?
I turned it on way back in the day. I had a copy of it, and I never got around to actually playing it, but I know that we will play it on this podcast.
Gotcha. So that game, my favorite game writer, Tim Rogers, once described it as the best game of all time and the worst game of all time put in either side of the Large Hadron Collider. And smashed into each other. Which is a pretty good. Point is, if you play Xenogears, you know that it is very obviously a big influence on this game. And the thing is, this game inherits a lot of the good things about that game, but it also inherits all of its problems. And that game's like obligatory love interest because she is girl is like literally why Bernard got furious and stopped playing the game 20 hours in. Because he was just so fed up with it. And that ends up
Look forward to that episode, guys.
And that ends up developing in a cool way, but it takes forever. And it's like when you look at art, anytime something happens in art, there's actually two reasons for it. There's the reason that is given by the story, and then there's the reason why the writer decided to write that in the first place. Right? So it's like, even if the reason... So, like, a love interest can be in there, period, for a bad reason, just because it's a trope and it's misogyny. But then, after deciding to put it in the story, they can do a really good job of actually portraying it and writing it well and developing it well. You know, it's interesting. It's like you can look at it from two different ways. And that's kind of how Xenogears is as well. It's like, once they actually get into the whole they're in love thing, they do provide good reasons, and it is pretty organic. But also, the whole time you can just tell you're like, I know why this is happening. It's because you thought it had to happen.
Yeah.
And that may be like what I'm feeling here as I'm like, well, yeah, they were going to do the trope because the first thing we did in the game was go down to an underdeveloped planet and kill their god. So like we've been on the trope train this entire time. So me just like, how were they going to do it has been my main like ever since like in the middle of chapter 4 when Rogue Galaxy started to get good. It still was tropey the whole way through it, but like how they came to the tropes and the way they put the tropes together became the interesting part of the game for me. So the interesting part of the game was not like, oh, this guy hates his past and he has to leave his wife behind. It was no, like Digo's relationship with Angela and Gale was like so rich, and that was what I cared about, not the trope of like, because like I call Digo's character in every RPG a Malik because that's the name of that trope in Tales of Grace's F. He's this old guy, mentored you when you were younger. He doesn't want to fight anymore. He's never going to pull out his blade ever again. And then in the climax, he pulls out his blade like that. That
what a twist!
That character, like I hate all of the Maliks in like every game I've come across. I especially hate all of them in the Tales series. Like he comes out, like we're playing Berseria right now, and your first party member in Berseria is the Malik of that game, and he comes out and he has this big old sword on his back, and he refuses to use it because of some emotional thing or whatever, and I'm just like, God damn it, like another one of these.
Here we go.
But like, Digo is that character in this game, and he's my favorite fucking character because the way they got through the Malik story was so interesting. And so like, yeah, Kasala is magical space princess girl love interest, but she got there from a really interesting like non-romantic start.
Yeah,
because she could have got on and they could have been flirting the whole time. And even Jaster, when he first comes on and Simon's like, oh, you're trying to go bone Kasala, and he's like, no, I just wanted to thank her for being there for me.
Yeah.
And so like the whole time like, it's been non-romantic. So I think
when
that's
that happened, I kind of latched onto it and was like, cool, maybe they'll form a close friendship. They could eventually turn into love, but it's not going to be the focus of the game. And I mean, it hasn't. for the most, like, I haven't picked up on it too much, so it's definitely not the main focus, but it feels like it's going to become the focus of the future chapters, and I'm a little disappointed about that.
To go full Fifth Element, like the power of our love is going to save the galaxy. I'm kind of anticipating that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying I want that to happen,
I was hoping it would be a power of I was hoping it would be a power of friendship throughout. Because friendship is really powerful. I tell every one of my friends I love them. Mm-hmm. I throw the word love around like it's fucking candy on Halloween because I think it's important. Like, people who are like, oh, I don't use the word love very often. I'm like, why the fuck not? It doesn't lose meaning.
Do you not love people? Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, do you just not care? Like, that's shitty. Like, you should love other people. You should tell other people that you love them. Like, My dad a while back started ending every phone call with "love ya, bye," and like, that's kind of my philosophy on it at this point. Is like, I'm gonna tell everybody that I love them, you know, whether I'm in a relationship with them as like a romantic partner or not, because I do. I love all of my friends. They are all very important to me. And if I lost any of them, I would feel just as devastated as if I lost Ken.
So, question: if you say "I love you" to everyone, what if the power of Jaster's love in that special move is just their friendship, platonic love?
Yeah, that could be.
I just saved the headcanon for you.
Damn,
there you go.
Thank you.
Boom.
You fixed everything. Right. Well, it's also interesting because when they do that move, they don't kiss, they don't hug, they don't say "I love you." They hold hands and they just kind of look at each other. And it's actually kind of nice.
Yeah.
Well,
there's your Korra Asami handhold right there, man. Like,
that's true. But I just feel like it's going to turn into more schmaltzy kind of love stuff, and
it might. But I feel like the game so far has been really, like, it's been trying to earn it. So if it does happen, I feel it will be okay, for the same reason Spiffle said a second ago, where he's like, well, the fact that she's there to be a magical plot point girl love interest is bad, but at least they earned her doing that.
Yeah. This game has done a good job of being less... It ends up being less dumb and bad than I predicted it's going to be a lot of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is like...
That's true.
Like, it's almost like they like took like a game master's guide and rolled a dice to pick the tropes to make this game, and then they had a real writer take those pieces and put them together.
Yeah, but they still forced him to do it. So like, you can't deviate from this, but you can at least do a good job with it.
Yeah, that's definitely kind of how it feels. Which, like, in the end, is making, like, Rogue Galaxy isn't up there in my top 10, but like, I think I would recommend it now just because it's feel good. Like, all the tropes feel like home, and when you're getting from trope to trope is like interesting and fun.
Also, I got a lot of respect for them. They're clearly trying very hard.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm like, really, I like come full circle because I was super excited, and the chapter 1 made me really happy. And I said I'm going to love this game specifically for the combat, the boss fights, and the level design. But
hilarious.
I've actually come around to the plot and not to the stuff that I liked about chapter 1. But like, it's like I'm fully in love with the game again. Like, I remember you and Tuxedo Ken, Eli, you said in like chapter 3 on your Let's Play, you're like, imagine waiting 15 years to play this game, and then this is what you get. And like, I was right there with you. Like, I felt like the same sort of way when we were first starting it out, and I was like, it's not my favorite game of all time, but like, I'm excited to like play it and see where it goes. But now that I'm getting through it, if I had to pick an arbitrary bucket for it to be in, it might be in my top like 50 games. Like, it's like up there. So
yeah. And I could totally see that.
Yeah. We'll see how the ending goes. The ending could be like the third act of Star Ocean 3 and just plummet it on my list, no matter how much I enjoyed the beginning. But yeah, I accidentally spoiled that plot point last episode, and so I apologize. I didn't even call it out as spoilers. It's a really big one, and like I said just now, it made me really angry. So I apologize to people who listened last week and had that spoiled for them. Don't go back and look for it if you missed it. But I spoiled
or do if you don't care about spoilers like me. I'm just like, whatever.
The plot twist is so fucking stupid that I feel like inoculating yourself against it ahead of time might actually be better, frankly.
Might actually be better, yeah.
I played the game after having already
Save
heard
yourself
the big spoiler,
the pain.
and I feel like I'm actually happy. Also, I hadn't played Star Wars 1 and 2, so I had no investment in the world or anything. Yeah. So I was like, this is a really stupid twist, but A, I already knew it was going to happen, and B, I don't really care. So I wasn't as mad as, but I was like, I can see why somebody would be really mad about this.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can help to get emotionally prepared for something.
Yeah.
So
I will say that on my PS2 memory card that I still have, my most recent save in Star Ocean 3 is the save after you find out that twist. I literally stopped playing because of that.
Fuck this game.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see
like
if that
how
happens
people
on
felt
these
after
last
Mass
few
Effect
chapters.
3. Yeah.
So,
wait,
speaking
so
of
if there is a horrendously stupid Star Ocean 3 level twist, predictions, what's it going to be?
Oh, what could tank this game?
Oh God,
it would have to involve a tonal shift. Like if this game became edgy for edgy's sake, which it hasn't been. Like in a game about space pirates who kill a lot of people, like it surprisingly hasn't been an edgelord. Like everyone's been positive and everything like that. So if this became like a body horror edgelord, like Reaper main type ending, like that would bother me, but I still feel like you gave me 10 chapters of positivity. Like you can have a dark ending and get through it. Like Final Fantasy VIII has like a lot of like power of love, power of friendship, we've been friends this whole time thing, and then you get to the end and it's a really trippy headcanon like time loop bizarreness at the end, but it was okay because like you made it through like 80 hours of friends.
Bizarreness.
Yeah.
I think that here's my prediction. So Kasala and Jaster are gonna fuck, and Kasala's gonna get pregnant, and then she's gonna have a miscarriage.
No.
It'll be like first it'll be just Jaster standing up, and then it'll be Jaster in the hospital, and this
I saw where you were going with that immediately. I was like,
and then finally at the end of the game, Jaster's going to be in the room, and Kasala's going to be laying down horizontal, and she's going to be.
It's going to turn into Loss.
Is this the
game?
First audio loss?
Just to make sure to go all the way through it, because I was like, I have to describe using words.
I knew immediately what you were going for. Like before you even started. Wow! Congrats to us, world's first audio loss.
That's so good.
Let's make sure that we compress this data before we save it, because we wouldn't want it to be lossless.
Yeah.
Die in a fire. Sorry.
I'm so sorry about everything.
So yeah, what about you, Eli? What would tank it for you? Well, besides the obvious, turns out that Lilica was a man, and everyone's like, "Ooh, that's gross. You can't be in her party anymore."
Oh my god, that would destroy me. I would just be like, "Fuck everything about every RPG on PS2. I'm never playing again." I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty on board with everything that's going on. Like, I'm feeling more invested in the characters. I think if something happened and like the characters started turning on each other, which again would be kind of an edginess for edginess' sake.
I wouldn't like that either.
And there's one of my biggest pet peeves is miscommunication. And like, okay, I don't know if you guys are going to get this reference. Have you ever seen the movie White Christmas?
Oh yeah.
No.
Okay. So for Sam's sake, White Christmas is a movie that was made back in the 40s or 50s. It stars Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye, I can't remember their names.
It's old. I'm aware of it existing. I just haven't seen it.
So the big plot point in there is that they're going to throw a big holiday party for their retired general.
Because he's depressed, basically, for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, he's really depressed. He was going to he was trying to join the military again, but they wouldn't bring him back in because he's too old. And so Bing Crosby's character, who is a musical theater performer, wants to find a way to bring all of the old troops back to this big motel or hotel that the general owns, so that they can throw a party for him. And he's going to go on TV and ask the troops to come here. Well, a woman listens in on the phone call, but only hears the part where the TV exec is like, yeah, let's make a big schmaltzy show out of it, and it's going to be great. But doesn't hear the part where Bing Crosby's character is like, no, we're not doing that. We're not commercializing it. We just want people to gather at this one place. And so there's this big whole misunderstanding because the love interest, Rosemary Clooney, that's her name.
Mm-hmm. That's it, yeah.
Rosemary Clooney's character will not communicate this with Bing Crosby's character, and she just runs off. She doesn't want to talk about it. And she just fucking leaves. And I hate that.
So dumb.
Just fucking talk to each other. And I love that movie. I fucking love that movie.
He's doing a really nice thing. She has it a little bit wrong and thinks that he's a huge asshole. And if he just explained, like, no, your information is actually incorrect, then there'd be no conflict. And the funny thing about that movie is, like, 90%. The reason I like the movie is it's like 90% of the movie is like no conflict at all. It's just people having a nice time and doing songs,
singing
and being
songs.
Friends. And I feel like some of the screenwriters is like, oh shit, we forgot to put a conflict in this movie. but it's so non-committal. It's like the conflict happens and is resolved in probably about 15 minutes, and then it just goes back to being nice again. It is so unreal, because it is so ridiculous and not actually believable. It's like even the people making the movie couldn't actually commit to this conflict making any sense.
Right. So that's like the most, to me, that's like one of the most egregious examples of the lack of communication. Yeah, it's for the lack of communication in media, but it's a trope that happens a lot, and I feel like for this kind of thing, and I was kind of getting vibes of that when Raoul was dying and he wouldn't just fucking spill the beans to Jaster. He was just like, no, you have to go on a magical quest to find out that your dad is Dessert Claw and he fucked the Star King's many great granddaughter. But like, just talk to each other. But if they have some sort of communication breakdown that causes them into this horrible fight with each other, I'm out. Yeah, I don't want that. I want no part of that.
Not in line with the point of this game, which is that they're friends and it's nice.
Yeah. Right. So I don't think at this point that they're going to have that happen, but that's like an absolute worst case scenario, aside from, oh, Lilica has a dick and it's funny and gross. Like that would also destroy me.
Yeah. What would make me really happy, though, is if Lilica had a dick and that was it.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Like, cool.
All right. I'm glad to have learned this information.
Yeah. I'm glad that she's being her true self. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for her. She's still our friend and we love her.
But yeah, we finished talking about the game at 1 hour. We're at an hour and 36 minutes. We promised talking about how it makes us feel, and we talked feelings for 36 minutes.
A lot of feelings.
So I have many feels.
Me too. So next time we will play Chapter 11, The Legendary Planet, and Chapter 12, All Good Things, which makes me like trepidatious because the thing is, all good things come to an
end. Yeah.
But that's not the end of the game.
Dramatic, and then it'll be fine by the end.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
The end of the game.
All good things come to an end is where the communication breakdown happens, and they all hate each other.
But the last chapter of the game is called To Eternity.
Oh, snaps.
And we will not be playing To Eternity. I mean, you guys will not be playing To Eternity. I cannot promise if I won't be so thirsty for it that I finish it. But
just don't spoil anything for us.
I won't spoil anything. And if I do, I'll just make sure my internet goes out again.
Oh, here's an idea, Sam, just as a quick reminder. In the next couple chapters, without spoiling anything for us, if we get to things that you've been were previously spoiled on, you should let us know. That way we know when we're past the same was spoiled on this phase. Because, you ever do a media where you have heard one spoiler, and you're so relieved when you actually get to that spoiler, because you're like, from here on out, I'm good?
Yeah.
I always love that.
I will. If it's not a side quest, because the fact that they went back to their... Because it's about... the people, and I said this way back on the thing, so the poor people. So if it gets like since they went back to their home or whatever, there's a chance we have to go find that to get the end of it. So I don't know if I'll ever do it. If we get to the end of the game and it never happens, I'll just spoil it so you don't have to go back and side quest for it.
Oh yeah, Ken mentioned that he was spoiled on that as well when he was looking something up.
Yeah. It happened to me because like the way we got spoiled is because it's a really cool way that they do it.
Oh, really?
But
Nice.
It's annoying because they do it with that. I'm looking up a list of just information and there's a spoiler in the information.
You're being so vague.
Yeah.
They do it with that.
Yeah. But yeah, I got really good at not telling spoilers because I saw Infinity War 3 weeks before my wife and roommate did. So
Oh shit.
I had to get real good and creative about, well, how was
It's
the
like
movie?
that thing that Thanos does when
Yeah, it's the thing in the movie where the stuff happens.
And then Spider-Man. Wait a minute, Spider-Man's in that movie. What?
I got great at spoilers, not telling spoilers, when me and Bernard played through the Danganronpa games. Because those games, they're so good, and when you play them, all you want to do is just scream constantly about them. So we would like trade off, like literally, like I'm at work and he's playing, he's at work, I'm playing on the same copy of the game or on our individual copies. So it's like, I've got to tell him what just happened. I've got to tell him, and then I'm like walking into the room and I'm about to say something, and then I'm like, oh, you're not there yet. Never mind.
That's beautiful, but. Yeah, so that's about all of our feelings for the week. It's not. We're probably going to continue to talk about our feelings in the Discord, but that's all about the feelings that we'll record for the week.
Yep.
So if you like what you hear and you want to help us cover hosting costs and game costs, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/rpgbookclub. We also have merch, but the merch store is down right now. So if you go to bit.ly/rpgmerch, right now to 404, I'll probably fix that by the time you even hear this, to be honest. So
nice.
Yeah. But if you want to just hang out and talk to us, we have a Twitter at RPG Book Club, an email at rpgbookclub@gmail.com, and our Discord that has the link in the doobly-doo, as well as on our Twitter and on everything. And next week, as I said, we will be playing chapters 11 and 12, which are the Legendary Planet and All Good Things. I'll look up here in a second. Actually, this is the one that I use, so I can just find it right now.
Where like a good safe place is or something?
Yeah, so where the good safe place. So let's see. There is a boss battle with let's see. There's a boss that, so you will reach a point at the end after a boss battle, and you'll receive a key item that's a something of kindness.
Okay,
this is the name of the item. When you get that, there will be a scene, and then you can save. So
okay, when I get to do kindness, save as soon as I can after that.
Lied. That's the end of chapter 11.
You should have played the whole damn game.
Well, that's helpful for my Let's Plays, so thanks.
So the end of chapter 12, actually, it will ask you a big question, and after you answer the question, you will receive a 7-star sword, and that will be the end of chapter 12. When you get another legendary sword.
And you can save after that?
New weapon.
And you can save after that.
Cool.
Okay,
cool.
Awesome.
Easy.
So that's where we'll stop, is after you get the big old magic sword. So
great.
For RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I've been Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I'm Michael Spiffle Webbin.
And toodaloo. Bye.